All right. Here we are yet again with another webinar from English and Coffee. This one is called The Power of Music When Learning a Language. Now, when you look at the power of music, you have to first say, what is inside of your favorite song? Everybody has a song that they listen to over and over. They probably listen to it 100 times, right? You go back to it, you leave it, you come back to it. It's your favorite song. You love this song, but there is a reason you love this song. So let's look a little more in depth at what's in your favorite songs. When you look at someone's favorite song or your own personal song, you start to notice patterns of instrumentation that repeat. This could be anything from the drums to the loops to the guitar riffs, the instrumentation, the instruments within the song that hold everything together. You also notice vocal harmonies and rhythms that are unforgettable. These are the lyrics and the hooks that you repeat, right? You don't just say, "And I will always love you." No, you belled it out like Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson. I'm bad, you know it, right? You say it the same way he says it, right? Because it's memorable, it's unforgettable. These are the lyrics and hooks. Powerful feelings that can change your emotional state are also within your favorite songs. If you're upset, you play your favorite artist. Next thing you know, your whole mood has changed, right? You start to feel better. Or if you're upset, you play a certain song and you get even sadder. You start crying, right? Now, language and culture is also included in this because one, the artist sings in a particular language, whether it's English, Japanese, French, Swahili, pick a language. They have songs in all of them, but you're also exposed to the culture. What do artists sing about? Artists sing about where they're from, what they do, what life is like, right? What their thoughts are on politics, what their thoughts are on government, depending on the type of music you listen to. So all these things will be included within your favorite songs. So, stepping aside, let's look at what's inside of your speech. These are the words that come out of your mouth. These are the messages that you convey to other people. In your speech, you will find patterns that repeat, catchphrases, vocabulary, vocal inflections, things that you say over and over. Maybe you have a certain friend and every time you greet him, you say, "How's the weather, man?" Right? Maybe that's something you say. Or if it's a girl and you say, "What's up, sis?" Everybody has their own catchphrases, their own set of vocabulary, and a certain way that they express these phrases. So, speaking with expression, this is also an expression of your feelings. Your speech conveys to other people whether you're happy, you're sad, you're angry, you have regret, any type of feeling that you have, they're going to hear it in your voice, unless you're a master of disguise. Language and culture. Again, this repeats. Are you starting to see a theme here? You'll see where we're going in a second. Language and culture. Whether the artist is American and they're singing in English, whether someone's Chinese, they're speaking in Mandarin, wherever they are in the world, they're going to put that in the music, right? And you're going to hear it. And you're going to hear what they're talking about. You're going to hear what they're singing about. Maybe they're singing about some famous war or some victory of the country, right? Maybe they're singing about food. Maybe they're singing about women. Now, you're going to start to hear common themes when you listen to several artists, right? Across a broad spectrum in your target language, you're going to start to hear certain things that repeat. Like, oh, well, this one was singing about this, or Madonna was singing about this, but Prince was also singing about it, right? Those are two artists, right? Well-known artists. So you're going to start to see these themes and these connections. So that leads us to our next slide. What's the connection? Maybe you've already been able to put some of this together loosely as we've been talking, but the connection between music and speech is you. You are the link. You are the connection. Because music goes into your brain, right? You process it. You speak. You are influenced by music, whether you want to be or not. We are influenced by the people we're around. We are influenced by our environment. So music, especially those that love music, is a big influence. You're influenced by the patterns of speech. You'll start to repeat things that you heard in a song in your regular conversation. Your emotions are in music. If you're upset, you're going to listen to angry music. You know, if you're happy, you're going to listen to happy music, right? Language. If you speak Chinese, you're going to listen to Asian music, right? This is what happens. We have these connections, but it all happens with us. Because you could have a Russian song on the left and a French song on the right. Put you in the middle. Which language do you understand? If you're a Russian native speaker, you're going to lean more towards the Russian. If you're a French native speaker, you're going to lean more towards the French. But if you speak both languages, you can go either way, right? And either way, your emotions are going to be impacted. Your patterns are going to be impacted. You're going to hear different things repeat. You're going to hear different things change based on you. How you enter the equation is going to be the outcome. Now, how do we put this in practical use? How to use this connection to improve your communication. Listen to music only in your target language. This is something that I personally do. Every now and then I'll hear an American song or an English song, if I'm passing by, but it's nothing that's in my phone. Listen to music only in your target language. Why? Because this is going to give you that repetition. You're going to hear the sounds, the phonetics over and over. Somebody sitting here saying, I'm struggling with pronunciation. Well, listen to the words being pronounced by native speakers, right? These musicians are up there singing the words over, and you can listen to it 1,000 times back to back if you need to. You will hear these patterns repeat. Obtain lyrics for songs that you love, that you truly want to sing or rap. So if you're listening to a song for the first time, you know that moment when you hear a good song, you're like, oh, who is that? What is that? That moment, that passion, that's the song you want to find. Go on Google, find the lyrics, download them, copy them, write them out, and study the song. This is going to be your homework, your study exercise. You're going to look at this song. You're going to examine this song. You're going to explode it out, break it down piece by piece, line by line. Sing, rap, scream, and shout along with the song. Do your best to impersonate, to replicate what you hear your favorite artist doing, right? How they sing it, how soft they say it. You want to repeat everything because this is a song you love, right? When you're taking your shower, you want to sing the song. You want to sing it as close to the artist as you can. And do not worry about sounding perfect. After all, it is a foreign language to you. You're learning a new language. So you won't sound just like Adele, right? You're not going to sound just like Common. You're going to sound like you, but the mistakes you make are what's going to help you get to the next level. Without mistakes, you can't grow. You have to make mistakes. You can't stay safe forever. Staying safe for the people that are sitting here saying, English is too hard to learn, I can't do it. Those are the safe people. You're already risky. You're already taking risk. You're listening to me. You're expanding your knowledge. Maybe you've read several books. Maybe you've talked to several people in English. Maybe you've taken a few classes in English. You know what it means to take risk, and you're not afraid of taking risk. So don't worry about people laughing at you. If you mess up on it, just say, hey, I'm studying a new language. What are you doing with your time? Ask them, what are you doing with your time? Right? Oh, you only speak one language. Okay, well, I'm learning two. Or this is my third language that I'm working on. So keep your thoughts to yourself, right? That's how you can check that person. Pay attention to how the artist pronounced the words, right? If they're sitting there dragging out that last syllable, listen to it, mimic it, imitate it. This is the importance of picking quality music. Now, if you get someone who's just talking a bunch of slang and things like that, then you're going to have a bunch of slang and vocabulary in your speech. But vary it. Listen to some rap. Listen to some R&B. Listen to some soul music, right? But it's important that the music has words. I know a lot of people like to listen to classical music and jazz and all this stuff with no words. But if you're using this as a tool to improve your communication, you're going to need words in the music. Match your tempo and pronunciation to the artist. The cadence at which they sing, rap, speak at, that's what you want to emulate because that's a native tone. That's a native rate of speech. They're not sitting there reading the dog crossed the street. No, they're saying the dog crossed the street, the dog crossed the street, right? It's rhythmic. It repeats. It repeats. Break the song into small sections. This will make it easier to memorize and feel the music. So let's say you pull down a song of your favorite artist and the lyrics are long and you're like, I don't understand any of these words and it's just too complicated. We'll use Eminem, for example, right? Eminem probably uses the most words than any other artist in one single song, right? Because he has a vast vocabulary. He can do that. That's his flexibility. So I would say if you're just starting out, Eminem is probably the 10th level of mastery when it comes to English, right? You're going to want some vocabulary under your belt. You're going to want some experience talking. You're going to want some experience singing other songs before you try to take on Eminem, unless you take on one of his earlier songs or slower songs that have a smaller vocabulary. But if you were to pick an artist like Michael Jackson or somebody similar, that has a different cadence, different pattern of speech, it'll be a little easier to pick up. But what you do is you break the song into small sections. You can start with the hook. That's something I like to do. I like to start with the hooks of songs because that's the biggest section most times, right? I listen to rock as well, Russian rock. So they have these sections, it's about 4 or 5 bars, right? 4 or 5 lines that repeat in the song. It'll come on at the beginning, it'll come in at the middle, it'll come in at the end, then it'll repeat one more time. So you've heard it probably 4 or 6 times in one 3-minute session, right? Start with the hook, then break the lyrics down. Now, remove the lyrics and repeat the section until you can say it by heart. So let's say you've chosen the hook of a song, right? Something that repeats is 4 or 5 lines. You're singing with it, you're reading, you're trying to sound like them, you're emulating what they're doing, and you're like, okay, I got it. Now, the first line, you don't need to look at the paper, right? The first line, don't need to look at the paper. Cover the second line, take that off, you don't need to look at the paper, right? Then you have all 4 lines memorized. At that moment, in that moment, you have them memorized. 3 days later, you may forget them, but at that moment, you have it memorized. Now, remove the lyrics, sing the hook over and over. This is a song you like. That's why it's important to pick music that you really, truly enjoy and something that you can listen to several times over and over. Repeat with the next section of the song. So after you get the hook, then you start with the first verse. Maybe the first verse is 16 bars. Break them down by 4s. 4, 4, 4, 4. Right? Do 4 at a time, 4 at a time. Because it's a systemic process to learning, to breaking down the language. And you realize that you can do this with any form of audio content. You could do that with this podcast. As I'm talking right now, if you notice, you can do that with this podcast. As the vocal inflections changed, right? You could say that at work. You could do that with this lecture. You could do that with this briefcase. You could do that with this dinner. You could do that with this food, right? Repeats. Patterns repeat. What can this technique do for you? What can it do for your communication? It can increase your ability to separate long strings of words. When people are first starting out in learning a language, they're often faced with that hard task of breaking down what the person said because it just seems like they're speaking in super fast mode, right? Everything's just going so fast, everything's flying by. I just sped it up a little bit to give you an example. But it's sometimes just jumbled. Words are jumbled together, everything's stepping over each other. It's just so confusing, people don't understand, right? That pattern of speech right there to a new person can be overwhelming. They're going to say, whoa, 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 wait a dang minute, right? But as you start to listen to different artists that sing or rap at various rates, right? Rates of speed, you're going to see that it's not so hard because if you've been listening to Eminem or somebody like Twista, right? For 5 months straight, when somebody's talking to you, they're not rapping as fast as Twista. They're not talking as fast as Twista. They're not talking as intricate as Eminem. So they're going to be sounding like they're on speak and spell, easy mode. This technique can also increase your understanding of colloquial speech and phrases. Music is full of idioms and expressions, just like your speech. It can also strengthen your reading skills and pronunciation in your target language. If you're reading the lyrics and repeating what's said along with the artist, I don't know if it could be any more clearer. I don't think I have to break that one down because if you're reading the text and singing with the artist, you're working on multiple skills at the same time, right? So you're having a more cohesive study session or practice session or whatever you want to call it. This technique also introduces new vocabulary in context. He's not going to be singing about women and all of a sudden be over here talking about radiators, right? He's singing about women. So you're going to hear these new words when he says he picked her up, passionately, held her down, took her to bed, laid her down softly, whatever phrases your artist uses, you're going to hear it in the music. And some of them might pique your curiosity. You say, oh, what is that? I like that. I might use that. When I go out on a date, I'm going to ask my girlfriend, I'm going to say, can I buy you a drink? Whatever your artist says, Increase your confidence when speaking. So this is definitely a byproduct of going through this exercise. It will increase your level of confidence when speaking. Because if you're already rapping Eminem or rapping Twista, Redman, singing Whitney Houston, Total, Missy Elliott, whatever group you chose, you're already going to be comfortable and confident in what you're saying, right? You're going to know that people are understanding what you're saying because you've done it 100 times. You've rehearsed it 100 times. That's the reason why when you speak to a native speaker and they're speaking these words and cutting things, yeah, they've done it thousands and thousands of times. You're just starting out. You're 6 months in. This person's been speaking English for 20 years. There's no way you're going to be on that level. I don't care how long your vocabulary list is. You're just not going to be on that level in your first 5, 10 years. It's just not going to happen. This is what comes with time, right? It's just like you in your native language. You hear somebody learning French. Let's say you're a Frenchman and somebody's studying French, right? And you're like, okay, well, you got a pretty nice grasp of the language. But yeah, they don't know all the ins and outs and the intricacies of your language. They're getting what they can from a book unless they're doing things like this, listening to live artists, right? Watching movies, watching shows, just stealing the language, stealing the vocabulary in context from natives. That's the best way to do it. Now, this can also improve your ability to recognize differences in dialects of the language. So, depending on what part of the world that you listen to somebody, right, where they're from, wherever your favorite artist is from, they're going to sound different. Some of them might have more of a southern drawl here in the States. If you go to Texas, Louisiana, you're going to notice that hey man, what's going on? They talk like this, they talk like that. You're going to notice these things, right? You go up north and they're like, hey, yo, what up, son? You know, it's a different tone, different vocabulary. But you'll be able to notice these differences as you listen to a wide array of different artists. This can also boost your listening skills and word recognition, which points to being able to separate long strings of words. So your listening skills will improve as your vocals improve. As your speech improves in your rate of speech that which you say words, you can hear them at that speed. If you can't say it at that speed, how are you going to hear it at that speed, right? So if you talk faster, then you can listen faster. It's a byproduct. It's weird how it works, but the brain is an amazing thing. And again, it also provides insights into the culture of the people, right? So if you're learning about France, right, and you're speaking French, right? Well, this is English. So if you're learning about English and you're speaking English, and then you listen to these artists and they're singing about, you know, the Empire State. What did the girl say? New York. Alicia Keys, she has that song, New York, or Jay-Z. Whoever you listen to, they're going to be singing about where they're from and what they do where they're from. Marcy Projects, right? People have probably never been to Marcy Projects, but if they listen to Jay-Z, they know all about Marcy Projects. If they listen to Redman, they know all about what? New Jersey, as he calls it, right? Because he says straight out of Jersey in every song. That's his catchphrase. He's representing Jersey. So depending on which artist you listen to, they're going to be talking about what they do in their area. You're going to pick up the culture. What are the people thinking about? Now, final thoughts. Understand that different genres of music have different rates of speech. R&B is going to be a lot slower than rap. It's not going to be as abrasive as rock, right? If you're listening to that heavy metal, you know, where they're screaming on the mic, that's a whole different animal, but it's not going to be the same as some soft rock or some contemporary music. You have to understand that when you're picking your song. Also, remember that verbal communication and music are just forms of expression. Whether you say it or you sing it, you're expressing yourself. There's a video on YouTube that was popular a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, where a guy was just singing numbers. And I thought it was just one of the most beautiful things that I've ever heard. He zoned in on the intricacies with 1 and 2 and 3. A lot of people laughed at him, but I could appreciate it because, you know, studying Russian, a second language, yeah, I pick up on things that natives just miss. They hear it all the time. Their ears are desensitized to it. But you coming with fresh ears from a different background, a different language, you will hear the language differently. There will be certain things that stand out, certain characteristics of the language that stand out and help you get a better grasp on what you're doing. Use this technique with songs that you could listen to several times. Again, this is important because you're going to repeat this song over and over and over. I've sat down with the song for 4 hours straight, one bar by one bar, bar by bar, line by line, hook by hook. Because with each repetition, you start to feel more confident. And you're like, oh, I could finish this song. Then you look for another song. Then you go to the next song. But it could take you an hour. It could take you 4 hours. It could take you all day. But this is uninterrupted practice. And you have the time to just sit down, no distractions around you. Also, appreciate the fact that you are now using the language to learn a new skill. You're not sitting here with some boring grammar book trying to memorize some grammar rules. You're getting stuff in context, but you're using the English that you have to learn a new skill. The skill of learning how to break down a language through music. This is a skill. Because once you do it in English, you can do this in any language you want. And even if you don't even understand the language, you can listen to a brand new song. It could be Spanish if you don't speak Spanish. Listen to a brand new song and break it down. I've done it several times. So I'm just saying the proof is in the pudding. Try it out for yourself if you don't believe me. Take a favorite song, a song you love that is in your target language, right? English, and break it down. Start with the hook. Repeat it. They have some certain apps out there that you can put on your phone that will repeat one section of a song, or just listen to the whole song and repeat the whole thing over and keep winding it back to the part. The more complex the song, the longer it will take, so choose wisely. Like I said, I keep going back to Eminem, but if you start off with Eminem and he's got 10,000 words in a song, you're going to be there a minute. So just make sure the songs that you first start out with when you're trying to build that confidence are, maybe 500 to 1,000 words. We're talking easy listening. You're Simon and Garfunkel, you're the Doobie Brothers. You're talking people like that. And it doesn't matter if you don't really care about the music. Well, I don't listen to this kind of music. Do you want to learn the language or don't you? Right? If you're going to complain about the process, then how bad do you want it? Now, there are other ways to acquire the language, but this is one of the ways that I have found has been most effective. This technique works with more than just music. You could do the same thing with a transcript from a film. Your favorite movie, you go online, you talk in script. Let's say Scarface is your movie. You get the transcription for Scarface, the freaking scroll. You could sit there and play out the movie. It'll say, actor walked in, this is what Tony Montana said, this is what the other guy said. Films, they all have scripts. Actors go home and rehearse their lines. Think of actors. Actors rehearse their lines how many times until they have them memorized, and then they put the performance with it, the perfect performance, right? They go, rehearse the lines, cut, take, redo, reshoot. How many times do they do it? All you know is that when you hit play on the movie, everything's how it should be. But you do not know how many sessions they went through to get the lines just right. So when you're speaking to somebody, they don't know what you had to do to get to the point to where you could say, hey girl, what's up? We're going over here to the party. You want to stop by the store, pick up something to drink, then swing by over here, get something to eat. They don't know how many times you practiced that. Or when you walk into the office, Monday morning and you're sitting here, well, today's presentation, we're going to be talking about the economy and what's happening with the dollar. They don't know how many times you rehearsed that. Think of how many times you rehearse things in your native language. Think how many times you rehearse things before you say it. Maybe you're going to have a conversation with somebody, or maybe you're preparing for a presentation at work. Whatever you do, you have those patterns of repetition. So I just want to say that you rock. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Also, let me know if you are implementing this technique in your language journey. I want to know what you guys are doing with this information. I want to know if the words that I'm saying are falling on deaf ears or people that are hungry to speak English. I appreciate you for your time. Transcripts are available. I'll put a link down in the description box below, and I will see you in the next one.